आज से शुरू हुए न्यूज 18 राइजिंग इंडिया समिट में 3 केंद्रीय मंत्रियों, रेल मंत्री पीयूष गोयल, वाणिज्य मंत्री सुरेश प्रभु और कानून मंत्री रविशंकर प्रसाद ने ग्रोथ और देश के माहौल पर मजबूती से सरकार का पक्ष रखा। और अब देश भर की निगाहें प्रधानमंत्री मोदी के भाषण पर लगी हैं। लेकिन आज के समिट की शुरुआत हुई योग गुरु बाबा रामदेव और सदगुरु जग्गी वासुदेव के साथ। इन दोनों ने पुलवामा के बाद की परिस्थितियों में कड़े एक्शन की वकालत की है। बाबा रामदेव ने तो यहां तक कहा कि बिना क्रांति के शांति नहीं आ सकती। इनके साथ एड गुरु प्रसून जोशी ने बात की। इसके अलावा एविएशन की बड़ी कंपनी स्पाइसजेट के चेयरमैन अजय सिंह, अपोलो हॉस्पिटल की एमडी सुनीता रेड्डी और इबिक्स इंक की चेयरमैन रॉबिन रैना ने अपने अपने सेक्टर्स की बात देश के सामने रखी। और इसी पैनल में आर्थिक मामलों के सचिव सुभाष चंद्र गर्ग और नीति आयोग के सीईओ अमिताभ कांत ने भी CNBC TV 18 की मैनेजिंग एडिटर शिरीन भान के साथ चर्चा में हिस्सा लिया। थोड़ी देर पहले मध्य प्रदेश के मुख्यमंत्री कमलनाथ ने ग्रामीण भारत के प्रति एक अलग नजरिए की वकालत की। पुलवामा में आतंकवादी हमले पर क्या सोचते हैं ये योग गुरु बाबा रामदेव और जग्गी वासुदेव, आइए सुनते हैं।
आज का भारत जो है सदगुरु और आप प्रकाश डालें इस पर, या बाबा जी आप, कि आपके हिसाब से आज का भारत जा किस ओर रहा है, उसका लक्ष्य है क्या?
देखिए, कुछ लोग यहां पर अहिंसा के नाम पर कायरता के गीत गाते हैं और वीरता को गाली देते हैं, लेकिन जब पुलवामा हो जाता है तो दुबक करके गैंग बैठ जाता है। अब मैंने कहा कि योग पूर्वक युद्ध करो और पाकिस्तान जो नापाक हो गया उसको शुद्ध करो। क्रांति पूर्वक शांति होती है, बिना क्रांति के शांति कभी स्थापित नहीं हुई। भगवान राम को, भगवान कृष्ण को, भगवान शिव को, हमारे पूर्वजों को, आचार्य चाणक्य, चंद्रगुप्त को युद्ध करना पड़ा। मैं ये नहीं कहता हूं कि निर्दोष प्रजा को मारो, लेकिन पाकिस्तान जिसका प्रधानमंत्री नापाक है, नपुंसक है, माने ऐसा व्यक्ति जो कठपुतली है सेना की और आतंकवादियों की, उसे क्या उम्मीद करोगे? इसलिए भारत को अपनी आत्मरक्षा खुद करनी पड़ेगी और इस देश को संप्रभुता, इस देश की इज्जत बनाए रखने के लिए पूरी दुनिया हमारी तरफ देख रही है। भारत एक कायर देश है, इसको कोई कुछ भी कर सकता है। इसलिए आज हमको अपने पूर्वजों की राह पर चलते हुए, हम शांति के उपासक हैं, लेकिन कोई हमारी तरफ आंख उठाएगा तो हम उसकी आंख निकालना भी जानते हैं। ये राष्ट्र के नेता को, मोदी जी को सोचना पड़ेगा और इस देश को आगे ले जाने के लिए कुछ बड़े कड़े कदम उठाने पड़ेंगे।
What would be the solution in the case of a terror attack like this, where we have an outrage in the beginning and then we start from victim, we start feeling guilty? What is this syndrome?
Say, the problem is right now, you're referring to, we're taking Pulwama as an example, you're calling this terror. But I want you to understand this. This is a planned agenda. This is not terror as far as they are concerned. They are trying to fulfill their goals in a very planned way. They did not even keep it a secret. They told you, we will bleed you with 1,000 cuts. So it is not terror, it is an agenda that they're fulfilling. They're doing what they believe is the right thing to do. Because if somebody is willing to die for something, obviously they believe strongly enough to die for it. So they're doing what they believe is the right thing to do. Now, from your standpoint, are you doing the right thing that is good for this nation is something you must decide. There is no need to get excited about this, there is no need to… you just get some satisfaction by labeling somebody a terrorist. I want you to understand, somebody is working, life or death, they are working for their agenda. What the hell is your agenda? Spell it out to yourself and act upon that.
But what is it?
Well, for over a century, we fought for the independence of this nation. To make this nation free, we worked for over a century. A lot of life was sacrificed. Due to lack of vision, we sacrificed many more after we got our independence in the name of partition. Now, with one partition, You have seen 1 million people, over 1 million people dead and over 15 million people crossing borders from both sides, suffering. Human suffering is human suffering for me. It doesn't matter which side it's happened. So people have suffered, and in 70 years, still a whole lot of them are still not even settled on both sides of the border. And how is it that we have such a short sense of memory that we can once again talk of another break? So we must decide this. In my heart is very clear. First one thing is, make it clear to all the Indians what is India and what is not India. Please do this. Don't keep the ambiguity continuing forever. Just 100%, this is our country, this is not our country. Let us focus on what we need to do for the well-being of these people, rather than going on endlessly debating, where is the border? How long will you debate? 2 generations of people are gone after independence and still you're debating the same thing. This is the time. If nation's consciousness is somehow awakened because of a shocking incident, please make up your mind now and work for that goal, because the sovereignty of the nation is important. For me, within my heart, well, it would be fantastic if we lived here as global citizens and we're capable of embracing each other and living here wonderfully. That would be fantastic.
What would be your message to the government?
I'll come. But we have not come there. Still, nation is the largest human entity you can address. If you want to address human well-being, you can only address it as a nation. You cannot address it as a globe. We don't have the mechanics to do such a thing. So, this nation, over 1.3 billion people, is a world by itself. So if we want to take these people towards fulfillment of their lives in this generation, the most important thing is we decide in terms of geography what is our nation, what is not our nation, and what do we stand for this. So protecting this is our business and our duty. Unfortunately, if cruel things happen, they happen. It is not our intent. I am not even talking about retribution, revenge, no, this is not our nature. But solution for this nation is important. That people of this nation can prosper is an important duty that the leaders of this nation owe to every citizen in this country. For that, it is very important that our borders are quiet, because the service and sacrifice of our soldiers is the basis. It is upon that foundation that you write your poetry, I do my spirituality, he does his yoga, somebody does his business. For all this, the basic foundation is the stable situation in the country. If we don't create that, we are failing in our fundamental duty, we are not being peaceful, we are just being naive.
ग्रोथ को बढ़ाने के लिए टैक्स घटाना जरूरी है। राइजिंग इंडिया समिट के मंच पर दिग्गजों ने ये बात कही है। एविएशन की बात हो या फिर हेल्थ केयर की, सभी का मानना है कि टैक्स घटाने से ही एविएशन और हेल्थ सेक्टर की ग्रोथ तेजी से होगी।
Issue of taxation, I quite agree that there has to be reasonable level of taxation, and you know, the GST is settling down. We've just had yesterday a major concession on construction, you know, coming down from 12 to 5% on an affordable housing to 1%. But the important thing is, for this country to grow rapidly, GST must grow. We must understand the challenges of the country. If every sector we keep going around giving concessions without the GST settling down, it will be very difficult. But I'm quite confident.
Sir, we are not asking for a concession. No. We are asking to be included in the GST.
That's true.
No, that's because, simply because we must understand that we are living in a country which is bigger than 24 countries of Europe.
Yes.
I mean, you expect that the central government to take all the decisions. It will not be proper in a federal polity. The states have to be on board in both the case of civil aviation and in the case of petroleum as well. So I think we are there right now. GST is maturing very rapidly, and I think in due course you'll have states also playing ball on this, as they have done in the case of construction industry. And I think it's very important. I quite agree with Ajay, because there's a massive multiplier impact. And it has a huge spin-off in terms of travel and tourism.
And employment. I keep coming back to that. Yes, Mr. Garg, very quickly.
No, I think this is a very right kind of articulation. It gels very well with what I was saying about the competitiveness. We have done quite a lot about ease of doing business.
Yes.
I think we need to now concentrate on cost of doing business. that is where most of the issues which he has raised.
And that's not only going to be the RBI's problem, right? It will also be North Block's problem.
No, this is not at all RBI. This is basically, in a way, another element which is also very costly in India is the interest cost. But we also have power, which is very much costlier than many other countries.
Sure.
The kind of taxes and other duties and levies which he mentioned. So there is a whole lot of issues. We will need to make our businesses competitive. And for that purpose, we will need to address the cost of doing business.
You know, when this government came to office, the roadmap for corporate tax reduction to 25% was announced. It's been done for a large universe. It hasn't happened as far as the main corporates are concerned. As we look at the next government coming to office, what do you believe is the need of the hour in terms of tax, balancing that with India's competitiveness?
So you see, more than 99% of the corporates have been addressed, and the taxes have been brought down to 25%.
स्पाइसजेट के चेयरमैन अजय सिंह का कहना है कि एविएशन सेक्टर में ग्रोथ की अपार संभावनाएं हैं, लेकिन अफसोस की बात यह है कि उन्हें तवज्जो नहीं दी जा रही और उन्होंने ये भी कहा कि एविएशन सेक्टर में टैक्स कम होना चाहिए.
There are just 3% of Indians that fly. So clearly, this number is going to go up as disposable income goes up. Obviously, the numbers are going to go up, and there is a aviation revolution which is happening in the country. If you look at the number of new cities which are being added to the aviation map, there were 75 airports in this country in the first 70 years of our independence, and just in the last 2 years, we've added more than 25 airports. In the next 2 years, we'll add another 50 airports. So just in 3 years, we'll be doubling the number of airports we have. So it's been a terrific ride for the aviation space. Now, having said that, there is this mindset problem that we still have in India, where flying was always supposed to be for the rich. So you taxed it like you taxed color television at some point of time, or you taxed computers at one point of time. So the taxes on aviation are completely crazy. I mean, we pay today the highest amount that any country pays for aviation turbine fuel. We pay the highest amount that anybody pays for airports, and this clearly needs to change. Mr. Garg was talking about being internationally competitive. He's absolutely right. Today, if you give us a level playing field, we would give terrific competition, and I dare say we would beat the likes of Emirates and Etihad and Qatar. All we need is a level playing field. Unfortunately, we are not getting that. We are pushing it. I think there is understanding in large sections of the government that this needs to happen, but I think they need to take that political step. There are some states which are still not extremely supportive. Hopefully, we can convince them sooner rather than later. But, this is something that's actually growing the economy of the states. This is something that's growing tourism in the states. It's absolutely criminal. It's a shame that we are not able to give a level playing field.
नीति आयोग के अध्यक्ष अमिताभ कांत ने कहा कि इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स को बढ़ावा देने पर काम चल रहा है. ई व्हीकल पॉलिसी पर काम आखिरी चरण में है.
So you'll have a very clear policy framework around this, both on the mobility side and in terms of the storage side. In fact, a lot of work around this has already been done.
No, but the larger question that I'm asking, Mr. Kant, is, and I hope that we will see this in the next fortnight, because you gave me a date in January which has come and gone by. My question is that often we squander the opportunities that stare us in the face. We make the slogans, but we don't tie it up with action.
So, Shireen, these issues are, firstly, these are areas where there's a lot of global disruption happening, number one. Number two, you have to get into the right technology. And number three, I think a lot of interministerial work needs to be done. You need to do your homework right.
But isn't Niti Aayog now the interministerial hub? It's almost the new PMO in Delhi, right?
No, that's not possible. We work in coordination with a lot of ministries. We get driven by Cabinet Secretariat and the PMO. A lot of work on this has been done. And I think we are almost at the final stage.
राइजिंग इंडिया समिट में कानून मंत्री रविशंकर प्रसाद ने कहा कि सोशल मीडिया बिजनेस के लिए भारत में सबका स्वागत है, लेकिन डेटा के साथ छेड़छाड़ बर्दाश्त नहीं की जाएगी.
This is election season, and everyone wants to know what is going to be the big election mantra. What are going to be the big promises that your government will make to ensure that, as Ajay Singh pointed out, it is Fir se ek baar Modi Sarkar.
You see the kind of work we have done in the last 4.5 years plus, is by itself great example as to how we have changed the narrative of India. Just now I was talking about Digital India program. Today India's digital transformation is happening, and I would like to take this opportunity that Digital India is beyond IT. It is designed to empower ordinary Indians with the power of technology. Low-cost technology. The jam trinity we have talked about repeatedly as to how we have saved close to 1 lakh crore plus. The e-governance part, the e-hospital, the e-scholarship, the electronic manufacturing, the mobile sector, all is happening. But the most important point is today India's poor feels empowered. And just now we are talking about this whole Modi Care, the largest healthcare scheme. I have met digital movement as the kind of a mass movement, common service center you must have heard about.
Right.
From 80,000 we took to 3 lakh plus. They are digital kiosks giving services. They were also involved in registering Indians for this Ayushman Bharat. Out of 2 crore registration, 1.5 crore has been done by them in the last 2 months. So this is a new landscape happening in India of transformation.
I want to ask you about elections in the time of social media. Today, in fact, the Twitter CEO, Jack Dorsey, was summoned by the parliamentary panel. He wasn't there. There was a representative from Twitter there, but you've been talking to Twitter, Facebook, and so on and so forth on how they can sort of ensure that we have clean elections. What is the conversation at this point in time leading to, and how is the government engaging with them?
I can only give you the general ideas, because as far as Twitter's appearance before the parliamentary committee is concerned, that is their domain. I have said very clearly, all the social media platforms are welcome to do business in India because India offers a big digital commercial opportunity also. Facebook has the biggest presence, so has WhatsApp, Twitter's the second and third. But I have said very clearly, India appreciates, acknowledges and respects freedom of ideas on social media. But any abuse of data of Indians to influence the election will not be acceptable. Mark Zuckerberg apologized. Cambridge Analytica issued a notice. They did not respond properly. The matter I have referred to the CBI. Okay. So we have been very tough. And thirdly, most important, any kind of data imperialism will not be acceptable by any company. We believe in equality. We believe India's sovereignty also. If you go like that, surely a proper norm will come. An election commission is equally aware of that. And in no manner whatsoever, the data of Indians shall be allowed to be abused to influence elections. India of 2019 is not the India of 90s, where you have Prime Minister for 1 week to 40 days to 10 months to 8 months.
कांग्रेस पर पिछले 5 सालों से यही आरोप लगता आया है कि कांग्रेस ने 65 सालों से क्या किया। राइजिंग इंडिया में मध्य प्रदेश के मुख्यमंत्री कमलनाथ ने इन आरोपों को खारिज करते हुए कहा कि विकास सिर्फ पिछले 5 सालों में ही नहीं हुआ है।
मैं आपसे ये समझना चाहता हूं कि आपके विरोधियों का, जो सत्तारूढ़ पार्टी है, उनका आरोप आप पर यह है कि आप सबसे लंबे समय तक भारत में आपने राज किया। आज की डेट में भी आप गरीबी को हटाने की बात कर रहे हैं, तो कहीं ना कहीं क्या जो कांग्रेस की इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी थी उसके ऊपर क्या प्रश्न चिन्ह नहीं लगना चाहिए? शुड देयर बी नो क्वेश्चन मार्क ऑन दैट?
क्या गरीबी नहीं हटी?
क्या हटी? क्योंकि आप तो अभी भी
गरीबी नहीं हटी। आज जिस हॉल में आप बैठे हैं, जिस माइक्रोफोन से आप बैठे हैं, ये क्या पिछले 5 साल में है? क्या गरीबी नहीं हटी? क्या गांव में सुधार नहीं हुआ? आप किस बात की बात कर रहे हैं? अपनी आंखें बंद करनी है। अपना देश कहां था और अपना देश कहां पहुंचा? The question is, what are you starting with? You didn't start with a zero. We started with a zero. And when you start when you're 60 and you say I've gone to 65, well, you should be ashamed that you would only go to 65 because your starting base was so high. This is the point to understand. गरीबी नहीं हटी देश में। क्या आज कितने लोग भूखे मर रहे हैं? आज कितने लोग पहले भूखे मरते थे? तो ये आज कह देना कि 60-70 साल में कांग्रेस ने क्या किया, भाई जहां बैठे हैं, जिस मोटर में आप आ रहे हैं, जिस घर में आप रह रहे हैं, जिस चीज से आप बात कर रहे हैं, ये सब कैसे आई?
तो ये बताइए कमलनाथ जी, you've now moved your base to Madhya Pradesh. You're there in Bhopal. I saw कि अभी Friday को you've launched your promised farm loan waiver scheme in your state, which I believe is now going to benefit almost to the tune of 1.61 lakh crore is what is about to be spent in your state. Is that figure correct in the first place?
Well, the farm loan waiver, let's understand what it's all about. Just saying farm loan waiver, I don't know how many people sitting here even understand this farm loan.
No, this section does.
Let's face this reality. आज जो किसान का कर्जा है, किसान कर्जे में पैदा होता है और कर्जे में मरता है, मृत्यु होती है। ये बात इससे हम आंखें नहीं बंद कर सकते। तो सबसे बड़ी चीज है that किसानों को कैसे राहत पहुंचे। Today the most distressed sector has been the agricultural sector. Look at the farmer suicides. Compare them with Africa. We have more farmer suicides in our country than Africa. And we are saying हमने बहुत कुछ कर लिया. I don't, this is absurd. The farmer realizes that. Sitting here, you may not realize that. All sitting in these ivory towers, you won't understand this. But how many farmer suicides have there been? And why does the farmer commit suicide? He commits suicide because it's a distress he can't get out of. So, we had announced 6 months ago, I had announced 7 months ago, we are going to have a farm loan waiver. It is going to involve about 53 lakh farmers and is going to cost 55,000. The loan value, it's about 55,000 crores. Fair enough.
You have the money? You have the money to spend?
Well, we are doing it. I've started it. And in the next 10 days, forget about 2 months, in the next 10 days or 12 days, 25 lakh farmers in Madhya Pradesh will be able to stand up and say, our loan has been waived.
Okay.
This is what's going to happen.
राइजिंग इंडिया समिट में योग और भोग के अंतर पर एक दिलचस्प चर्चा हुई। योग और भोग के विरोधाभास को कैसे समझते हैं बाबा रामदेव और सद्गुरु जग्गी वासुदेव, आइए सुनते हैं।
योग और भोग दो अलग अलग चीजें समझते लोग। आम आदमी की जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग है उसमें व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट योग ऐसा लगता है देयर इज एन इनवर्ड जर्नी, you are lonely, there is sadhana there is a certain concept of योग का एक concept है।
वैसे राइट डेफिनेशन योग और भोग का बहुत कम लोगों को पता है। जो भी जीवन में साधन है, कोई भी किसी भी प्रकार की प्रॉस्पेरिटी है, बॉडी है, माइंड है, सेंसेस हैं, व्हाट इज विजिबल इन दिस universe, this is called bhoga. And soul and supreme soul, invisible peace, happiness, जो दिखता नहीं है वो योग है और जो नहीं दिखता वो भोग है। इसलिए योग और भोग में कोई संघर्ष नहीं है। योग पूर्वक भोग होगा और उसका सही उपयोग होगा तो देश भी अच्छा बनेगा, राइजिंग इंडिया होगा।
बिल्कुल आपने अच्छा कहा, पर लोगों के मन में एक कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन, एक विरोधाभास दिखाई देता है कि when you look at Sadhguru riding a bike, flying a plane, playing golf, mentoring CEOs or collaborating with CEOs of the companies, they feel that because योग में तो ऐसा नहीं है। On the other hand, when they see Baba Ramdev, being someone who's discussed, and I've been in so many meetings where he is discussed as someone who's a strategic mind of how marketing should be done in today's India, and he's found an innovative way of doing it. And there is, of course, his company is a case study. So, ये जो विरोधाभास है सदगुरु, अगर आप प्रकाश डालना चाहें इस पर, is there a contradiction at all, or there is none between this yoga and bhog?
Well, certain people think either yoga or the spiritual process or spirituality is some kind of a disability. That's their understanding, unfortunately. If spirituality is a disability, we should ban it immediately. Why practice a disability? Spirituality is a way of empowering yourself in such a way that we can enhance life to a point where other people will think it's superhuman. Because as life, we have only two ingredients. There is time and there is energy. Time is rolling away for all of us at the same pace. We can't do nothing about it. Just because I am a yogi, I don't get 28 hours a day. I also get only 24. Many times I have tried to get 28, I get only 24. Time is rolling away for all of us. It is only the energy we can manage. Yoga is a way of mastering your energy in such a way that if you live for 10 years, it looks like you have been here for 100 years. That's the amount of work and activity you did. If one doesn't do this, then if they're not in yoga, in my understanding, they're just not interested in life. They're waiting for death. They may not realize that consciously, but that's exactly the situation, because they're letting time go by without enhancing their energies. Because the only way you can enhance your life is this, not by accumulations. By accumulations, your life is not enhanced. Maybe in other people's eyes you're enhanced. As a life, you are no way enhanced. Only by enhancing your energy, only by having mastery over this, do you have access and purchase into this life. Because time is not in your hands, it's just rolling away for everybody.
पहले तो हमारे धर्म में, संस्कृति में, हमारे शास्त्रों में, हमारे इतिहास में हमने निवृत्ति और प्रवृत्ति में कभी भेद किया है। बड़े-बड़े सामाजिक